What is going on, everyone? It is Tyler McKinney back here again, and let's finish things up with part number 4 of the, extended weekend. We got some Monday Night Football. I was excited for this game, and it just lulled me to sleep. It was, I don't know. I'm not really poo-poo on it, but also it wasn't a great game. A C minus, kind of about right there, maybe a D plus, probably more of a C minus. But this was the 4th and final game of the weekend, and those of you out there who have been talking about no fans in the stand, what's going on? Come on, guys, you got to get fans in the stands. And this one, just chalk it up to the rain, thunderstorm delay from the day before. With all the lightning, everything they had to postpone the game and move it back, and that's why you didn't see any fans in the stands on Sunday, and that's why on Monday night you didn't see a whole lot of fans there either. Now, they told everyone that they would honor their tickets from the night before, which is good, but you know how those things work. You figure your schedule out, you plan it for that, that kind of night, that game, and then especially when it's a Sunday, people go back to work on Monday, you're going to lose your audience, and at $10 a head, people aren't going to stick around. You lost, if you're a family, you lost $20. That's just kind of how it is. So the nice thing about it is it isn't a huge loss for the fan. But you did miss out on a football game. It was an okay football game. The Bandits came out and they ran a really nice offense to start things off, and they caught the Maulers off guard. And I will give the Maulers defense credit. They're actually really, really good. Both of these teams have really solid defenses, and I was pretty impressed with that. And actually, throughout the whole weekend, the defense has been, the impressive ones, and that makes sense. These teams they've really only been playing together for about 3 weeks, which means that the defense is going to be light years ahead of the offenses. So you have that with it. And, with all of the shortcomings and everything that's happened with it, the reality of it is that Kirby Wilson just got out-coached by Todd Haley in this game. He bought into the shtick of the whole thing. We're going to ground, run, and, punch things. And it was kind of, it was super hokey, and it showed just how inexperienced he was coming out there, lining up and having, whatever it was, 9 guys across the line there. And it didn't do any good for them. It was a dismal first quarter for them. I mean, absolutely terrible. I think it was something stupid, like 9 plays they ran were running plays, and it never really gave them any rhythm. And 2, when it was a passing down, he would run the ball. When it was a running down, it's like he never gave his offense the opportunity to really take advantage of pretty much the Bandits just, pinning their ears back and coming for them. He never really gave them, the offense, an opportunity to do that. And this whole swapping quarterbacks thing, I don't really understand it. Love looked pretty good throwing the ball, and when you put him in the situations you did, I don't really understand it. And then towards the end of the game, you let Laletta take over the game, and he played terrible. I mean, when you look at it, you had Love 9 for 16 with the 56 completion percentage, with 121 yards passing, and 80 QBR. He didn't have any touchdowns, but then again, you really never gave him a shot to. Most of his throws were passing down situations, and he made some good throws. There were a couple there, but really, all in all, he was the better of the 2, Laletta. He was 2 for 10, and really, he was in there just to really throw the ball, and they weren't set up to actually throw the ball. When you only have 3 wide receivers active on your roster, and who knows if they even had any 4 wide receiver sets in their offense. I mean, they're not set up for this, and they were really set up for failure towards the end of the game. I mean, they just didn't have things set up. They tried to really push the run too hard in this game. When you've got, let's see here, a total of 32 attempts. So you got about half of your plays were passing play. I mean, half of your plays. So if they had, let's see here, they ran a total of 61 plays. So just over half of your plays are running plays, which seems to be pretty, even with that. But the problem is, a third of those came in the first quarter and were the very first 9 plays that they ran. It really, they got themselves behind. They had to pass the ball, and you could just tell they weren't really. This is not a team that's really been working on their passing game, their passing packages, and that type of a thing with it, which I feel really bad because when looking at the Maulers, they've got a couple of guys in Thomas and Gaither that show a lot of promise that if they could really work on their route running and things like that with it, I think that their passing game and scheme things a little better. I think that they could do a better job, but they just they just allowed the defense to pin their ears back on them, to get up on them, and he never really gave his quarterbacks a real nice shot to really succeed, to where I really feel good about Love. Love threw some really nice passes. You didn't see his ball sailing and lofting like a lot of guys out there. And so I was, actually pretty impressed with him. Looking at the Bandits, their defense was pretty good. They had guys running to the ball. They were stopping them. But again, it wasn't like it was rocket science. You were just able to pin your ears back and go in and tackle the running back, and that's kind of what they did. And it just shows that type of style doesn't work in the upper echelon levels. When you get into professional football, all of these guys were the top in college, and some of these guys even played some pro ball in the NFL. You're not going to fool them with this, and you're not going to just ground and pound it with that, and you end up where you are with it. Now, Te'amu was 20 for 32. He looked fairly decent. 62% completion rating, 185 yards. He had the 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions, and the 1 interception was a tip ball, which was a ball that the wide receiver should have caught. The other one was they were trying to score late in the first half, and he probably shouldn't have thrown that ball. They were trying to get a little greedy there before half, and he never should have thrown that ball. So you can look at it for what it is. Te'amu probably right now is between him, Perez, and possibly Smith, the way that Smith played towards the later on in the game, are right now the best-looking quarterbacks. I would say him and Perez. We'll see once we get more of Smith. I really like just Smith's moxie at the end, though, his field general play at the end of the game. Those 3 would be my top quarterbacks right now in the league. Te'amu played a fairly decent game. He just had a couple of mishaps there with that. I didn't really see any terrible passes with him. Had a couple of balls that sailed on him there. The running game did not work for Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is going to have to figure out some of those running schemes and some of the stuff. I thought, Emmons, when he was able to get north and south and not have to play this shimmy thing in the backfield and a lot of that movement, things like that. The Maulers have a really good defense, and their defense is going to keep them in games this season. But 19 carries for 40 yards, you beat a dead horse way too much there. I think that 10 to 15 carries for him is probably good. Washington came in and spelled some there. I would look at Washington more as a kind of short yardage guy. That's what I would see. I would 5 carries for him, come in and do the whole pass blocking thing. I think is more the realm there. I just running the ball with them. it was okay. I thought the style of offense that they ran, for them to be more effective in the run game, you need to have Te'amu keep the ball a few more times to really keep them honest about that. And with him only having the one rush and the style of offense that they're running, he needs to do that more, or they need to turn more of those into... Instead of having 30 rushes, a game, they need to get it down to about 20, 25, and probably a few more passes. But all in all, there really isn't any gripe for me. They need to figure out the run, though. The run was really their weak point of that. You look at their wide receivers. Papal and Lastly seem to do fairly decent. O'Grady, though, and Emmons were the guys who really, you could tell that they were doing a lot of check downs, and they really tried to hit O'Grady, which I thought was a great thing. We'll see what happens when they get their second tight end back, see if that really changes their offense, because it seems like they really wanted to accentuate the tight end, but I think that they need to get their wide receivers involved in this game a little bit more, and I think that that'll open things up for them in the running game. But then again, this is week one, finishing up week one. The first game was awesome, and the last three have just been kind of and some of it's been good football, some of it's been terrible football, and some of it's been bad football, and some of it's just been okay. Unfortunately, there was just way too much terrible and way too much bad over the last 2 days that just overshadowed the good football. And I'm just being honest. I'm not trying to put a bad damper on it. It looks like the TV ratings have been fairly decent. I haven't really been able to see exactly where Sundays fall yet. I want to see where Sundays end up, and I want to see where Mondays are at. But I got a feeling that the TV ratings are still going to be strong. It looks like professional football out there. It doesn't look like a bunch of... it doesn't look like, chintzy... bad. It doesn't look bad. It's just not where it needs to be. I think that they should have gave the teams at least one more week. I think one more week these offenses would be a lot further along than what they are. And I think the other thing too is that they're still trying to figure out. I mean, you had 5 teams rotating quarterbacks. They still need to figure out the quarterbacks for the league with it. The production, everything was fantastic. I love the team of Menifee and Clot. They do a fantastic job together. NBC's Garrett and Collinsworth, fantastic. It looks like real football on the field. It looks professional on the field. It's just they need to clean a lot of things up, and I know that the weather played into it, possibly some issues with the ball. We'll talk about that in another video, but all in all, if I had to give the weekend a whole overall score, I would, because of the very first game being as good as it was, I would give it probably like a C+. And I'm probably being generous. A lot more of you guys probably be a lot more harsh than I'm being, but I enjoyed watching the games. And I'm trying to lean towards that, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in week 2 with this. I ended up getting the Bandits, and I think I took the under there, so I finished out, I think, 500, so 4-4. Not too bad, I guess, picking against the spread and picking the over-under with it. So I'm still in the hunt there at 500. We'll see what happens this upcoming week now that we've got some game film on guys and we can actually talk about the stuff on the field as opposed to speculation and see where we go from there. I just kind of there with it. So hopefully we'll see where you guys are. Let me know down in the comments where you're sitting with the USFL, how you feel about it, and we'll continue the conversation on down there. All right, guys, listen, I know that you're busy, and I know that I'm busy, so let's get on out of here. You have a good night. Bye.